Hello once again, viewers at home and all of you in the studio with me, my guests, DJ Spinall, everybody, to yet another episode of Late Night with Nike Oshinowo. As you all know, we broadcast to you every week from my home country, Nigeria. Nigeria is a place with a lot of problems. We all know that. However, the brilliance that lies here never ceases to amaze me. It is my belief that we can make this nation amazing, totally great. It's not just up to government as we are being led to believe, but it's up to us everyday people, you and I together. Today, my guest is one person. Her name is Yemi Adamolekun, and she is a shining example of what each one of us should be doing. Join me to welcome Yemi. Please join us for Late Night. It is wonderful to have you.
Good to see you.
I have been looking forward to this episode.
Excellent. Glad to be here.
Mr. Chita is itching.
We work together every once in a while. So
really?
So careful, you might get fined for this episode.
Oh, really? Oh, dear. I wanted to get right into this because you are quite a phenom. You're a graduate of Oxford University.
Yes, I have an MBA from Oxford.
My goodness. And LSE.
Yes.
Okay. And you still look like this. Shouldn't you look like some kind of...
geek?
Geek? Not at all. You're an executive director of Enough is Enough, EIE.
Yes.
Which is a coalition of individuals and organizations committed to instituting a culture of good governance and public accountability in Nigeria.
Yes.
That is quite a mouthful.
It is quite. It's quite a lot.
Tell me, what is this about?
EIE was not set up to be an organization. So in February of 2010, President Yar'Adua was ill, and at the time, weren't quite sure where he was. There were a lot of killings in Jos, and that has progressed significantly over the last 4 years. And there was just a lot of issues. And a young gentleman by the name of Chude sent out an email. And the title of the email was, "Where is the outrage?" And his point was simply, when would young Nigerians take their place in actually talking about governance issues? So obviously you had the usual, Wole Soyinka, Femi Falana, the usuals were protesting. So when would this generation actually take an interest in what was happening in Nigeria? So we organized a protest to Abuja in March of 2010. And really very simple, it was, look, if President Yar'Adua wasn't coming back, rule of law should be followed and President Jonathan should be made acting president and also address the other issues, insecurity in Jos. There was fuel crisis, I believe, at the time. And post that, we sort of sat around and said, okay, every time we're upset, we can't really protest all the time. So what do we want to do?
Exactly.
And since it was 2010, elections were coming up in 2011, we decided to focus on elections and just basically say, look, elections provide an opportunity for people to lend their voice or use their voice.
Yes.
So let's organize...
Supposedly.
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 Let's organize around elections and let's get young people sort of channeling that anger that led to the protest, channeling that into actively participating in the electoral process. So we coined a campaign, RSVP, which stands for Register, Select, Vote, and Protect Your Vote. And that...
Register,
Select,
vote,
and protect your vote. Yes.
Protect your vote.
Yeah. And that really became how EIE started. And so from a protest, we then thought, okay, if we're going to do this campaign, we needed sort of a structure to sort of drive it. And that's how EIE came to be.
How, I mean, okay, so that's how EIE came to be.
Yeah.
How did you come to be like this? I mean, so you have, both your parents were academics?
Yes.
I mean, how do you go from that to
this?
To this.
Funny enough, my father was quite active in student politics when he was in the University of Ibadan. Okay. He was actually one of Awo's boys.
Okay, so actually that says a lot. That makes a lot of sense. Number one, University of Ibadan. They are quite,
quite vocal.
They are quite vocal.
Yes.
Awoists, quite vocal. Okay, so it's making sense.
And then just growing up, I mean, I grew up at the University of Ife then, now Obafemi Awolowo University. And I think really the biggest gift my parents gave me was just not encouraging me to use my voice, encouraging me to not feel that governance was meant to serve me, not that anybody was doing me any favor, but this is how government was supposed to work, and this is what it means for governance to serve people. So I think that's the biggest gift they gave me.
Mr. Chita, did you, I'm shocked that you didn't
jump into that.
You know, government is meant to serve us.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm on the board of EIE as well, and she knows that I'm one of the more cynical voices in our meetings. In theory, government is meant to serve us. In practice in Nigeria, we serve government. That is a fact. Now, in my own studies and all of that, I've come to realize that it's a mindset thing. So it's all well and good trying to get people to understand that government is meant to serve us. But I've come to the point, personally, where I've given up on an entire generation of people. And I think it has to start from fixing it from the babies.
How do you just give up on...
Yeah.
You can't give up on an
You want us
entire
to start giving
generation.
examples?
And then also...
Wait, do you want us to start giving examples of EIE work that you have cried?
But the thing is, you can't really give up, because at the end of the day, who's going to train the babies?
Exactly. You can't give
So
up.
who's going to work with the babies?
You can't give up. And then also, look, if you look at every developing country, every developing nation, I mean, are we unique? Is this a problem unique to us in Nigeria? Or is it not a problem that every developing nation faces?
I think it's not. I mean, Nigerians are special in a... Yeah, we are special. But I think you're quite right. I don't think it's the developing side is not unique to us, but I think it's just recognizing that. So we go around with the moniker of the giant of Africa. So it's different if you actually recognize that you have problems and you're trying to work at it.
I think we actually recognize we have problems, don't we?
Not
No,
sure.
we don't.
We don't?
I don't think we do.
No. At the top levels of the
Yeah.
country, everybody thinks that everything is all right. They genuinely believe that everything is all right.
But the country works though. No, honestly, if you look at it from a different angle.
The country doesn't work. The country ticks along.
But it's moving.
It's not working.
But it's moving. If it was at a standstill, maybe we'd then think about it. But if it continues to move, people go to work, people get paid, people buy things.
Roads are fixed when you come to pay official visits, so you don't know that the roads are bad.
Bad before. So there's a sense that things are working. So people just get into it.
So should we now make a distinction between Nigeria and Lagos? Because you see, I live in a certain part of Ikoyi where our roads are fixed, but not because our governor is coming to visit Ikoyi. I doubt I don't know if our governor ever comes to Ikoyi, but our roads get fixed. So I do not know if maybe it's a problem with other parts of Nigeria.
That roads don't get fixed, or what do you mean?
Yes. So I mean, what Mr. Chita said about roads get fixed if government is coming to pay a courtesy visit.
But you also don't know who in your neighborhood is sort of lobbying for it to get fixed. So you never know.
I'll tell you what I keep telling my trainer
Right.
when we go jogging every morning. He lives in a part of Girard, and supposedly they never have power outages. We very barely have power where we live. And I'm convinced the NEPA bosses live, are his neighbors.
So that's also part of it. So you can't connect what service you get to who's what. So it's not even.
True. So you came back. So you moved back to Nigeria in 2005.
Yes.
And all this started then.
No, actually, I worked for 3 years at a brand strategy firm. Went away for business school in 2008, then came back in 2010. So literally landed in the country in January, and we had a protest in March. And that's how that started.
I hate to think what happened to you in business school. That you came back to Nigeria, demonstrating.
It's interesting. It's something my father talks about a lot, how the money he paid for business was not quite yielding.
I can tell the story of how she was part of the protest. Then we had a board meeting, and there was this conundrum as to who would be ED. And everybody said, okay, you. She wasn't given a choice.
That was part of it as well.
Jobless.
Yeah.
She had just come in, and everybody said, you are the one that is doing it.
And I didn't have a job at the time.
It was supposed to be democracy.
You're doing a phenomenal job.
It's interesting.
Let's talk more in depth about this EIE. What motivated you to start it?
One, I didn't start it. I'm the pioneer ED, but the idea, as I said earlier, wasn't to start an organization. It was just let's do a protest. So a protest in Abuja followed by a protest in Lagos. And then sitting down and saying, okay, really, we can't get on the streets every time. How do we make a difference that's a bit more sustainable? And that's where the idea about really focusing on elections came about. And I mean, the timing worked really well for me. I'd just come back from business school. I wasn't really working. The elections were around the corner. There was work to be done. And I said I'd do it.
You know what? The two other things.
Thank you.
Two other things I find really interesting about your work. One, you're Nigerian.
Yes.
You're a woman.
Yes.
Nigerian women don't do this.
Oh, but there's a history of it, though. From Lyra and some Kuti.
Yes.
About women,
About
1929,
right.
burns down
There's
the whole
a rich
town.
history of it. I mean, there's a gap, and I guess maybe what it is
There's
there's
such
been
a
a gap in
huge
history.
gap.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's Auntie Jo Dumaki now, but yeah, there are a few women over
Okay,
history.
so let's get away from the woman thing. Okay. Nigerians don't like to, Nigerians don't like to get hurt. We don't
No,
like
we
to put
don't.
ourselves in the line of fire.
No,
we so demonstrating is not something that Nigerians do in case people come with guns and shoot.
Not normally, but when we're pushed, we do. And I think, June 12th for
When
me
you say
is...
we, when you are pushed, you do.
But Nigerians,
Or do
I
we?
think
I
we
mean-
do, I think. But it takes a lot. So June 12th was a major one.
Yes.
And then more recently, the Occupy protest. So fuel
Yes.
subsidy removed,
Yes.
bank account not balancing, that got a lot of people out.
True.
Yeah.
True.
For me, I think the bigger thing, thank you, is that we don't sustain.
Yes.
That's the key thing
Yeah.
here. I struggle to recall any protests that sustained for more than a week, except probably the June 12th thing, which was eventually
And
brutally
and the
put down.
Occupy one. Look.
Bring back our girls, still ongoing.
True.
How
There
many
you go.
people go for the protest?
It's still ongoing,
you
that's the
and
point.
50 other
It is
people.
still ongoing, that's
and
the
then,
point.
and then you find them
Just
pushing you
as
all
we were
over the
saying.
cameras.
Wait, EIE, they're known for mobilizing, leveraging very heavily on social media, okay, to mobilize
Mobilize young
people, etc., etc. Don't you feel that in a country such as Nigeria, using social media literally leaves out the whole load of people that you're trying to reach? You know why? Social media, they don't have NEPA.
For us, it's very simple and very clear. We can't reach everyone,
Okay.
number one. Number two, we don't have the money to do it. Social media is cheap and cheerful, relatively, compared to traditional media. And we're speaking to a demographic that we say young Nigerians between 18 to 35 who have access to technology. And the simple sort of progression from that is take what you learn online and share it offline. So for example, your average young person, you will come in contact with either a bus driver, a taxi driver, your tailor, the person who blends pepper for you. You go to the market. If you have a driver, your driver. If you live somewhere that has a gate man, your gate man. So you come in contact with technically the people who don't have access to technology. Then it's your job to educate them. And it's also much easier if I speak to my driver or I speak to my gate man, they probably would listen to me more because I'm someone that they know. I'm not just some nameless face. So the whole rationale really, and we have a campaign that we're trying to run, we're going to start running soon. Each one reach 4. Your thumb is your only
Are we
finger,
not responsible?
but it's a call to do it. Now, if you choose not to be, it's still a choice. But the fact, you can't then say, which is sort of my own response, you can't then say we're not reaching everybody. If you choose not to reach the people, you can. Okay. So your thumb is your only finger that can touch any of your other fingers comfortably. The other 4 will try, but your thumb does it very easily. So try it. But try any of your other fingers and see how clumsy it gets.
Yeah.
Exactly. So think of yourself as a thumb, what you learn online, and then find 4 people offline and share it with them. It's really that simple. Now, if you multiply that in terms of exponentially.
I hate to interrupt you, but this is phenomenally interesting. But DJ Spinall, play us into a break so that we can take some. Welcome back. So, we were talking just before we went on about our
A lovely
thumb.
Yes.
And
4
how it's
fingers.
able, and the 4 fingers,
Yeah.
and I'd like to see you try and touch your. Yeah. So we have the masses of Nigeria,
Yeah.
and I want to talk about how they affect voting,
Okay.
how they access, how they actually assess information,
Okay.
and how that information they access shapes the way they
They
vote.
vote.
That's what I want, and also, what motivates them to participate in elections? Did you understand?
Stomach infrastructure, perhaps?
Cannot
It can't
be
just be
taken
that.
off the table.
And you see,
No.
that's where I have a problem.
Okay.
That's where I have a problem.
Okay.
For as long as you leave everything in the hands of the masses, then you won't. Then of course the stomach infrastructure comes to play.
Yeah.
Abi? So, Mr. Chita, you have a burgeoning business.
Yeah.
I don't see you stepping down and then saying your gate man and your
No, I
everybody
wouldn't.
should be there and be running your business.
No, I wouldn't.
What are we saying then?
It's
So what are we
basically
saying about democracy and saying about the masses and their voting and the elections, and what are we saying? Are we not giving them far too much responsibility?
It comes down to something I've said before. I think we've had this discussion before, where I believe that the failure of our democracy lies squarely in the hands of the upper middle classes.
And middle class.
Pardon?
And middle class.
The upper
The
middle
upper middle
classes,
class.
Middle classes,
and
right.
the middle
Yeah.
class. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been too irresponsible.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is,
Irresponsible or absent?
absence, nonchalance,
Nonchalant.
equals
No.
to irresponsibility.
Wow.
Yeah.
Given the magnitude of the consequences.
Given the magnitude of the problems
Yeah.
that Nigeria faces. Now, the
Wow.
masses themselves do not really care for Nigeria, as it were. The masses everywhere don't care about their country.
They care about them-
the next day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's
They
something
care
that's
about eating.
eaten.
They care about shelter.
Exactly.
Basic.
Basics, the basics.
The basics.
Well, you
No.
can't blame them, do you?
No, of course not.
Okay.
It's,
No,
this,
why,
this
so
is it.
why,
This is
why is it them that we're now relying on to
exactly.
determine
This is something that's
who shapes our lives.
shapes our
Exactly.
lives?
Yeah.
That's the irresponsibility.
Yeah, it's something that applies the world over. The lower classes care about the next meal. So when those who earn enough to actually think into the future let the lower classes make the decisions, then we have a situation where hoodlums get into the National Assembly.
There you go.
And the moment that happens, then everything turns on its head. So we have a situation in Nigeria where things are upside down. You have a National Assembly which, for example, in 2008, out of 120 bills that were put before it, passed only 8. And all 8 had to do with appropriation.
So what were they doing? What else? What did they do?
This year alone, they've taken holidays for a total of 72 days. This
how many
year
months?
alone.
So what are you saying? You're saying that because we let people from the lower classes rule us, that's a very
Because the point is, if you allow people who make decisions based on immediate gratification, you can't. So we said we can't blame them. So their decision is based on what they need and how they see government. So government is sharing; they're getting their own access or their own share of the national cake. So for them, it works because it's what they can see. Telling someone that a road in 4 years would actually improve the economy in an area, it's a bit far-fetched when I haven't eaten, as you said, today. But if you give me money or give me rice, I can deal with that because I can use that today. Now the point is, when they make decisions based on their needs and we choose not to participate, then there's a problem. Now, if I was making a dish,
not participate though,
because we think it's beneath us. We don't have time
We're
standing in the
selfish.
sun.
We're
It's not.
selfish.
Oh, well.
Simple. Abuja municipal elections, best example.
Mr. Achita, wait. Because me, I'm part of this as well. You can't call me selfish. I'm a lot of things. Actually, yeah.
My apologies, but
Actually, you know what?
my apologies, but you are
Irresponsible?
selfish. I am selfish. She is selfish.
But
as
she's
in-
doing something about it.
We're
Well,
the
in my
same class.
self-interest, this is I say this is. I said people laugh when I say this. The part of what I'm doing is in my enlightened self-interest. Because if Nigeria works, I'll be better for it.
I'll
It's
be
very-
better for
Yeah.
it. Yes, I'll be better for it.
So my own selfishness in a different. I mean, it's selfish.
Now you're
but-
exonerating yourself from all of us, which makes
But
you
it's-
doubly selfish.
No, I am selfish. No, seriously.
Doubly so.
I don't know about doubly so, but hey,
So, with RSVP,
yeah.
register, select, vote, protect. So we all get up, all the different classes. We register. You and I, literally, we must register. Now select. What does that entail?
Select, so the full thing is select credible candidates, having scrutinized the options. So, before everybody shouts, yes, everybody on the ballot is a thief, is it this, is it that, is that, there must be somebody. I mean, as somebody said, choose the best of the worst. But choose someone, because you're not participating or you're not voting, whoever you think is worse still gets in anyway. So choose to, and the investing time in picking someone and paying attention invariably means you pay more attention to how they govern and what they do. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for us, a big part of that is hosting debates. So in 2011, we hosted the first youth-focused presidential debate, and we hope to host another one for the elections coming up.
Yes, because I know that you did. You hosted debates in Cross River State.
Yep.
And Anambra.
Yes.
And Ekiti.
And Osun.
And Osun.
Yes.
How did that go? How did you? I mean, the thought of it really freaks me out. So how did that go?
Well, the biggest challenge we have, the biggest challenge we always have is with the candidates. Because as Cheta was saying, at the end of the day, for the most part, Nigeria's politics, it's really not a politics of ideas. So having a debate and having a conversation, really, we like rallies. And the thing about rallies is they're one-dimensional.
Yeah.
So you stand on a podium, you say everything, nobody gets to ask you a question. A debate, people do get to ask you a question. So really not.
But so if you have two parties,
yeah.
I mean, because so a debate, it's based on the different policies that these people. But all our political parties have the same policies. We don't have, you know, they're all going to sort out the infrastructure. They're all going to give us free education or improve their education.
They're all going to fight corruption.
They're all going to fight corruption.
They're all going to fight corruption. Try to, etc., etc. So the two major parties anyway are so similar.
Now, so it's going to be interesting what happens in our debate this year around.